Alright, the first thing we're going to talk about is our stance. I believe the stance is the most important thing before we get started in the three parts of the route. Your start, the middle phase, and the top of the finish. The stance is the most important thing. So the first thing we want to focus on is this bent back leg. Okay, we talk about football being a game of inches. If Scotty's leg was stiff, the first thing he's going to do when he takes off is bend it. Okay, so we saving milliseconds by getting this back leg bent right here. Okay, other thing we wanted to talk about too is our head height and our forward lean. Okay, against press, what we want to do is get our shoulders down and our hands have to be where? Higher than the DBs, correct? Because it's so much, if I come here and Scotty's hands are down, it's so much harder to come up than it is down. Okay, so first thing in the press stance is Scotty's hands always want to be above the DB's hands. Okay, his hands are up here, our hands go higher. Okay, because the first thing we do is come down. Alright, we also talk about not giving up our chest. Scotty's chest Scotty cannot be in a stance like this. His chest and shoulders have to be rolled forward. DB's first things, when they shoot their hands, you give them your chest, you're done. Okay, so we work on that bent back leg, we work on this forward lean, and we also work having our head and our eyes up when we release as well. Okay, the first release we're going to talk about is our speed release. Okay, with our hands, 90% of the time we have our inside foot up. Sometimes we'll mix it up against press, switching our feet, but 90% of the time our inside foot's going to be up. Okay, when we talk about speed release, a great stance, our hands have to be above the DBs. The first thing we do, if I'm going to release outside, my outside hand comes first with my outside foot. Okay, so it's here, just like that. The next thing we work is either a chop or a dip and rip to get our back turn. Notice how when I release, we stay shoulder to shoulder. If I get too wide and Scotty turns, I can't ever get back on top. Okay? Back on top or even with Scotty is where I want to be if we're in an outside releasing route right now. Okay? So I have to say shoulder to shoulder. What it should look like here, I see his hands, my outside hand will dip and rip a lot, get our back turn. Now say we dip and rip, Scotty tries to get beat, his hands in there, we chop down, and then we're right back up on top. Okay? We talk about our speed release. Now you're not always going to have to throw both hands, but to start off, that's what we teach. Okay? So if we're going to go outside, my outside hand must come first. Okay? So it should look like this. We'll use the dip and rip here. Outside hand, dip and rip. We call it grab grass. Get our back turn and we're back on top. Okay? Now another one you can do is we're coming across, we're going outside with our outside hand, and then we're chopping, okay, against a DB that likes to throw his hands a ton. Remember, that chest has to be down, okay? So if Scotty throws his hand, I'm here, across, he reaches across, and we're chopping. So again, here, chop, real quick, bam, bam, just like that, okay? But also, with this, I still have to come shoulder to shoulder, because if I do here and get too wide and release like this, I'm going to never be able to get back on top, okay? And that's when we use our speed release. There's two different types, okay? So I'm going to have Scotty demonstrate right now.